Going into a frenzy trying to figure out what will power the next generation of automobiles. But this Toyota, called the Mirai, might hold the answer. Try to guess what it's packing under the hood. No gas, no diesel, and certainly no big battery. No, this car uses hydrogen, and it might be the answer when it comes to the future of driving. By now, you're probably wondering how this thing works. It's actually really easy to explain, but the science behind it is really advanced. Basically, there are these two hydrogen fuel tanks that store compressed hydrogen gas. That hydrogen gas is passed through something called a hydrogen fuel cell stack, which adds oxygen to the hydrogen in order to make an electrochemical reaction that powers a motor attached to the wheels. The byproduct of hydrogen and oxygen is water, which comes out the tailpipe. And the water that comes out of this car is drinkable, although it tastes funny and isn't recommended. The interior of this car is similarly futuristic, but not in that simple, minimalist sort of way. In fact, there are a ton of touch buttons and touch screens and graphs and charts that make this car really confusing and almost overwhelming. But there are also a ton of creature comforts for this four-seater car. There's 4 heated seats, as well as a heated steering wheel. In a way, it reminds me a lot of the Chevy Volt, but with a bit more luxury and flair. Once you start driving the Mirai, you end up realizing that it feels a lot like an electric vehicle. Power is delivered to the front wheels thanks to a 153 horsepower electric motor, and that's just enough to send this 4,000-pound car from 0 to 60 in about 9 seconds. But the really nice feeling of this car isn't the acceleration, although that's smooth, it's the steering and the handling. It's a heavy car, yes, but all of that weight is down low and provides a nice center of gravity. Another thing you might want to know is about safety. So Toyota has gone to a great length to make sure that you feel safe in this car. In fact, they prove just how bulletproof this technology is. The hydrogen fuel tanks are wrapped in carbon fiber reinforced plastics, and they've fired bullets at these things to make sure that it won't dent. In fact, the only way to get some sort of dent or deformation was by firing a .50 caliber bullet at these things. You had to hit it twice in the exact same spot. Now, how much will this high-tech car cost you? You can lease it for $499 a month for 36 months. Or you can buy this car outright for $58,325, including destination. But in places like California, where this car will be sold at launch, you can get up to $13,000 in tax rebates in order to help swallow the high price of this car. Although really, almost $60,000 isn't so much when you realize you're driving the future. When you get in this car, you have this feeling like you're part of a movement working towards a cleaner environment that doesn't have to be dependent on fossil fuels. And you might be asking, why go through all the trouble when electric cars are available and also offer emission-free driving? Well, for starters, this has a better power density than battery electric cars. In fact, if needed in an emergency, the Mirai could even power your house for a week. On a more practical note, EVs also take a long time to recharge. Even the Tesla Model S uses a special charger to get 200 miles in 20 minutes. In comparison, the Mirai just takes 5 minutes to refill and offers 300 miles on a tank. Of course, right now the infrastructure is a big deal breaker. There are about 40 stations planned in all of California by the end of 2016. As of now, it might not be feasible for you to get a hydrogen car since all the stations are too far away or too spread out. But when it comes to the big picture, the Mirai and hydrogen-powered cars are a huge deal. A large majority of our electricity comes from non-renewable resources like coal. Toyota says that hydrogen cars have the potential for a lower carbon footprint since it can be harnessed using renewable energy, even by burning garbage and sewage. That's a big deal when it comes to sustainable transportation. Also, you might want to know that early adopters won't even have to pay for fueling their cars. The technology is so unique that people don't know how to charge for it. You just go to a pump, enter in a PIN, and get your tank filled without taking out your credit card. At the end of the day though, the Toyota Mirai features all the things you'd like in a car. It has solid performance and range for its class, and is very unique looking. But the future of this car rests on the development of the hydrogen fueling infrastructure.